Situations made a man of me. That is expected, I'm exactly who I plan to be. I looked my mama in the eyes and told her we gon' make it. How could I go anyway but her? Now I'm sitting at your grave, reminiscing all the time that I wasted. I can't make it up.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the L.U.V podcast. You have your host here, L.U.V Jones.
And it's your boy Drake.
And today we got a very special guest. We got Torin Dorn. How you doing, bro?
Good, I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, man. Glad to have you on board. So for the people who may not know about you at home, why don't you introduce yourself?
Torin, I don't even know where to start. Like, I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a professional basketball player. I play overseas right now. Played at North Carolina State for college. Run I don't know if I would call it a brand, but more of a movement called Speak Victory. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, that's pretty much me. I can get a lot deeper, but that's the basics. You know.
Yeah.
So with your dad being in the NFL with you growing up, like how pivotal was that in your success?
I think, you know, that's everything, because when you talk about athletically, you know, good genes, you know what I'm saying, and a role model to look after. You know, he kind of taught me everything I know about sports, and that. So in that world, having somebody like that to look after and follow in his footsteps is, you know, you kind of almost set up for success in that avenue. If I wanted to do sports, and even off the field, or off the court, just seeing how he carries himself as a man and how he treats my mom and all these things, I want to be like him. You know, I'm grown now, but as a kid, I want to be just like my dad. So I feel like that positive role model was, you know, I don't know where I'd be without that. It would just be a different situation. So that's super important for me.
Sure. And so speaking of, you know what I'm saying, being athletic, of course, you have your brother in the NFL, you have your youngest brother, he killing it in high schools. So how, I guess, you know, since you're the oldest, I know proud probably is just a, you know what I'm saying, a small word to use to describe it, but how does it feel, you know what I'm saying, having you know, both of you all being successful, you know, both pro players, how proud are you of you all?
I'm super proud of my younger brothers. You know, I was just telling Miles, my middle brother, I was just telling him that we were watching our younger brother play, and he was in the state basketball tournament, and I'm my heart is pounding, you know what I'm saying, the whole game, every shot he shoot, my heart races, I hope he make it. But I get more nervous watching them play than I do playing myself. You know, I've been doing it for however long, and even when I was young, I'm calm when I'm playing, but if I'm watching one of them play, my nerves are shot. So it's kind of one of those situations, I want to see them do better than me. I want them to take sports further than I could. I hope I was able to be a good role model, and even whatever I go through in my sports journey, I hope they can take that and learn from it. So it's a lot of pride in family, coming from my family, and it's a lot of pride in just the product you put on the floor and the product of the person that you are, you know, daily. So yeah, I take a lot of pride in being an older brother, being able to lead.
For sure. Taking us back to high school days. So was you being heavily recruited in high school?
No. I mean, it depends on how you want to define heavily recruited. I had mid-majors, a whole lot of mid-major interests and offers, the Charlotte, UNCW, App State, schools like that, College of Charleston, smaller schools, but I didn't get the ACC, SEC, the big time schools that I really wanted to go to. I didn't get those out of high school. So.
Sure. And what ultimately led you to choosing UNC Charlotte?
Honestly, it just felt like home. You know, they were the first school to offer me. It was home. My house.
Right.
In Charlotte, so you know, it's right in my backyard. My high school's 5 minutes away from UNC Charlotte, so it's I'm right there. And it just felt like home, and that basically was my decision. I was UNCW in Charlotte, and Charlotte just felt like home to me.
Right. How was the program there, like going from high school to like college? How was that transition?
For me, honestly, like a lot of kids would say, like it was super different, but for me, I played for a super structured high school. You know, like my coach, he taught us the game in a different way than most coaches. You know, Coach Robinson at Vance, like we had structure in the way we played, in the way we worked on our skill development and everything. So when I got to college, it was more so business as usual. Like I kind of already knew everything that I needed to know to be successful. Like I was taught all that. So the biggest difference between college for me was more so like the off the court stuff. Like, I don't have a curfew. I can have whoever come to my room anytime. Like, oh man, like this difference. So that was probably the biggest challenge for me, I would say.
I say that's probably like one of the biggest things that we see, like the difference wise between people who go to like smaller high schools versus people who go to the larger high schools, like the transition being a lot easier for them to be able to do that.
Definitely. Because like you were saying, having structure probably made it easier even in the next level, you know what I'm saying? Going from high school to college to playing overseas, just having that structure and being brought up in that, it made the transitions easier. Right. And so how was it balancing like your freshman year? How was it balancing like being a student athlete?
I would say it's tough, right? Yeah. But for me, I honestly was super, like I've always been a focused person, you know, It's like if I'm like obsessed with something, I'm locked in on it. And it was things that happened to me my freshman year where, they wanted to redshirt me when I first got to Charlotte. So for me, I got a chip on my shoulder now. So like I got all these people on the team that you talking about playing, and you gonna redshirt me, like it's personal for me now. So I'm not even worried about the stuff that they worried about. Like I'm worried about getting in front of them. Like now I gotta play. I've always kind of had like little things like that I use as motivation to keep me locked in different areas of life and different like journeys that I'm on. So freshman year, it was like, nah, y'all said y'all was gonna redshirt me. I'm on the warpath now to figure out how I'm gonna play and how I'm gonna start and do what I want to do because I got a bigger goal ultimately. So I wouldn't say it was too hard for me to stay focused. I was always kind of a locked in type of person.
Okay. That's what's up. And then so after your freshman year, you know, you did real good. I say that, you know, you had some good numbers. And so what ultimately led you to going to NC State?
Man, so after my freshman year, our coaching staff got fired because we didn't have a good season as a team. So when the coaches that recruited me got fired, it was more so I was gonna stay honestly, but then all my teammates started transferring. So then I was like, man, I'm the only person left here. Like, let me see. And I had some people, you know, around me, like high school coaches and people at AAU that like, yo, test the market, like see what's going on out there. You know, you never know. So I was like, okay, I'll put my name in the transfer portal. And then I started getting interest from all the schools I wanted to go to out of high school, start calling. So it was a good decision, but that's kind of what led me to it. It was just kind of life just led me down that path. I never once went to Charlotte and said, I never once was at Charlotte thinking, I want to go somewhere else, or I'm going here to go somewhere else. I was fully locked in on where I was. And it just so happened that life led me to NC State.
And I want to say like, I know probably transferring to NC State, like, I think that's a major school. I always view State as a major school, you know, and it's also the family rival because your dad went to UNC. So how was that? How was those times?
That was cool. Yeah. It's crazy because Carolina, of course, was my dream school as a kid because my parents went there. So as a kid, like I was just looking at baby pictures the other day, and all Carolina gear head to toe, and I'm like, yo, I hope NC State fans had this on a dartboard or a dart set. It was like, nah, you know. So I always wanted to go there, and I always dreamed of myself playing there in the Dean Dome. You feel me? But sometimes like your path is different. So like I played there in the Dean Dome, but it would just so happen that it was with NC State playing against Carolina. But like the dream that you had still came true. It just came true in a different way than you thought it would. And like my parents going there, my brother going there, like it was all love, man. Like it's family over everything. Before any allegiance to any school or anything like that, it was all family. So they paid my education.
For sure.
Right. No, that's huge, because I always wanted to ask you that. But and so how was like the coaches different from UNC Charlotte going to NC State?
Honestly, I wouldn't even say the coaches were too much different. Like once you played on enough basketball teams, like coaching in general is very similar. Like you may have some coaches that are better than others, some coaches better at teaching, some coaches that are better recruiters, some coaches who are more personable, better at, some coaches better motivators, get you hyped up. But it's not too much difference between coaches. Like if you once you're at a certain level, like all coaches are good, all players are good. Like it's kind of interesting. Like I feel like I had good coaches in my time at Charlotte. I feel like I had good coaches in my time at State. I feel like you kind of appreciate each coach for what they're good at. Yeah. As you get older. Like you may have not liked the coach at the time when you were there, but then like you get older, and like I've coached before now. Like I coached in high school during COVID. So like now I get to see the game from a coach's eyes, and you kind of go back on your situations like, oh, maybe I thought this coach was messing me over, but maybe it's more at play.
Right.
It's bigger than me, because when you in it, it's just your world, and you feel like obviously we are the main character in our story, but when you take yourself out and you read in the story back, you see all the other characters and how that makes a difference in how you're treated and how, the opportunities you're given. So it's just, I feel like that's the biggest thing with like coaches as you can come up through playing any sport, any team sport for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because we talked to some previous athletes who played at a high level in college, and they was like having a good coach, especially they didn't have a father figure. It kind of helps them prepare for the next step outside of college, because now they having that structure. They're having somebody get on them about, doing things that they might have got away with before, It brings that structure, brings that that extra level of motivation, and it might rub some people the wrong way, but that's what's needed to help them grow as not only a player but as a man in general.
Right. I think the biggest things is accountability is what they try to teach. Like it's accountability. Once you learn accountability in any form or fashion, like whether it be life or sports, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
For sure. I think like in college, sports is so much of a business that, and you're a kid, so like you just playing because you love basketball, you love football, you love baseball, whatever sport you're playing, you just playing because you love it. Then you get to college and you drop into a multi-billion-dollar business. Yeah. And now decisions that are being made behind you, behind closed doors, are business decisions, not necessarily just for the love of the game, I got your best interest at heart decisions. Yeah. So it's like being able to marry that and still be a person of integrity, a person that is here for a bigger purpose within this major business is the hardest part, I feel like in coaching, So players love coaches who are players coaches, and I feel like I can relate to this coach. Right. And I feel like he would do for me outside of this business, like in the personal world, like he cares about me as a person. Like most of the coaches I've had in my life, I can say that I have a good relationship with them after I played for them.
For sure.
Like text me. Like I just talked to my high school coach. I talk to my high school coach all the time. I talk to my coach from Charlotte, all the time. I'm like texting one Father's Day, happy father. My coach, my NC coach Keats, I just talked to him the other, like, it's just relationship coach John. It's like, it's so many coaches, all my coaches. I talked to one of my coaches from state last night, but all those people, when you're able to build relationships, you know, with those people, it transcends sports. Like,
right.
I can see my whole coach staff at NC State was love. It was all love. You know, it's always been that way. Right. So, yeah, for sure.
That's what's up, man. I'm glad you was able to have great coaches, because I know I ain't gonna say everybody has that luxury all the time. You know?
Sure. That's true.
Right. You know, having those good coaches, you know, that you can always come back to for those life lessons, that's a blessing. And so, you know, as time going on from your first year at state, you're establishing yourself as, you know, one of the go-to players at NC State. So what seemed to click after your first year at NC State?
Well, my first year playing, that was, who we have? We had a young team, you know, we had a lot of high level, we had Dennis that year, my first year playing.
Right.
And Omir, and like we had a lot of we were very young, I would say. Like you got a freshman PG, freshman center, like you were a young team. And I would say it was a lot of inconsistencies in playing time. It was a lot of inconsistencies mentally for me. That was like I started off great and then ended, you know, pedestrian, mediocre. So the year after that, when Coach Keats came, it was a situation where I just played, like, you know, I worked for everything, and then I'm given an opportunity. And when I'm given an opportunity, you know, my work is able to show. So I feel like that's all it was when we got a new coaching staff, and I was able to really play, you know, and just play free and show what I could do. And we switched styles to play too. Like we started playing faster, we started pressing, trapping, and that's what my game has been predicated on most of my career: transition and getting out, running, and, you know, being able to affect the game in multiple ways. So I think that led to like me having a good junior, senior season for sure.
That's what's up. And how was you, like, you know, mentally during that time? Because, you know, a lot of players who don't get any playing time, you know, inconsistent minutes, it gets frustrating, you know what I'm saying? Because especially, you know, you thinking like you're working harder than the next man, or, you know, you don't feel like you're getting the opportunity. So how did you keep yourself elevated mentally?
Oh, it was tough, man. Like, I would love to sit here and be like, nah, I was cool. Like I was, you know, mentally strong. But honestly, it was times during that year when I'm not playing, like I'm going home like in tears, you know what I'm saying? Like after practice, I'm at home, like looking at the ceiling, like, yo, what am I doing? Like I give everything to the game, and then, you know, I feel like it's being taken from me unjustly. Like not like somebody beat me out. Because I can respect somebody to beat me out, like fair and square. Like if you line it up and you get the best of me, respect. You got the best of me, like good shot or good play, you know? Yeah. And I understand, okay, like we just nice, like I'm gonna have to play my role here.
Right.
But when I feel like I've given more and I'm doing more and producing more, but you on some favoritism type thing or some political stuff, now, you know, it's hard to look in the mirror and be like, yo, like I can't control this, control the controllable. Like that's what everybody says, control the controllable. And it's much easier said than done. And it takes like a lifelong journey to be able to control the controllable, you know. So that was hard when I was that age. Like it was teammates, you know, that I was cool with, that I'm not even cool with like I was, all because like I'm personally, it's now me versus you instead of like me versus whoever isn't putting me in the game. You see what I'm saying? So now I got to be against you, and it ain't even your fault. Like you don't try to do the same thing I'm trying to do.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's tough. It's tough in a situation like that. But I would say you just kind of gotta just learn day by day to get better at controlling what you can, and then letting the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, I think you handled that well because, you know, I like how, you know, we're interviewing, like, you know what I'm saying, you're a professional athlete, but we also, you know, we all deal with those type of situations as well, whether if it's like in class or, at a job, they might show a little favoritism. So they might give them a few more extra hours instead of you, and you're just putting in more work as well. So yeah, it's frustrating.
Coach in like basketball and sports in general, I feel like has so many parallels to life.
Yeah,
like everything I done gone through on the court, I feel like I done gone through in a different way, just outside basketball in real life. And I can relate to anybody in the world and they experience through my experience with basketball. It's like, okay, maybe I didn't have a job or they didn't give me hours, but I did get in the game and perform well, and then the coach benched me for no reason.
Right.
Which is the same thing. So now I can relate to that in a different way. So I think that's the cool part about sports and life and how they clash.
Definitely. Yeah. And so fast forward to you becoming like, you're at your last year at NC State. How was the transition to becoming pro?
That was tough too, because your whole life you dream of playing in the NBA, you dream of getting drafted, you dream of all these things, and then when it doesn't happen the way you thought it was going to happen, it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow. But then, like, you're still blessed that you get to play professionally and you figure out what the best option is. And for me, it was to go overseas, play in Poland, and that was a crazy culture shock because I'm from Charlotte, never left North Carolina, and now you drop me 4,000 miles away from home. In a country where I don't know anybody, they don't speak any English at this point. Like, I don't know how to, it's crazy. So that was tough. A lot of long nights there too, but it ended up working out for the best, for sure.
That's what's up, man. Because we had two previous hoopers on the podcast that played overseas, right? One had a great career. He played 10 years. He left on his own terms. He opened up his own business, and he was thinking about the next step outside of basketball. Right. And we had another player. He didn't have such a great experience, So I want to just hear how has your experience been playing overseas?
It's been great, honestly. Like, it's been challenging, it's been tough, but at the end of the day, so far I've gotten experiences that like not a lot of people will be able to say they've got.
Right.
And I'm a type of person who loves learning about new cultures, learning about new people. Like, some people don't like to travel; they want to be more secure because it's a very unstable career path.
Yeah.
You never know where you're going to be the next year. You never know your injury situation. Like, if let's say you go home and get a regular 9 to 5 and you working with a company and you feel like you're on a path to either stay the same or move up, like, you can plan around that. I can say, okay, cool, I'm gonna stay here for X amount of years, try to save up X amount of money and then start my own thing or whatever, but I can kind of picture it, plan it. You overseas, you just kind of you kind of a backpacker. Like, I just got my bag, I'm gonna show up in this city, play for this team, try to win some games. If I go crazy, another team might come and buy me out and I end up in another country next week. You see what I'm saying? So you just kind of living month to month, day to day. And even when you come home, it's like, I don't know when the next team gonna sign me, where I'm gonna go, what country, you don't know where you're gonna live. So it's been a crazy roller coaster journey, and I've only been playing 2 years so far.
Okay.
Yeah, but I enjoy it. I would rather this type of life as opposed to a more safe, more stable. I know where I'm gonna be next month type of situation to chase my dream.
Right.
Yeah, it's been cool.
I think that is interesting because, of course, I followed the NBA my whole life. I love the NBA. Is it kind of a structure to where like you were saying, you playing good 1 month and then another team would just buy your contract and now you play for the other team?
Yeah, that can happen. It happens to a lot of guys. So.
Oh, Yeah,
It's wild.
That's wild.
That's wild.
Okay. So, wow, I did not know that. So I'm learning. Every time we ask somebody about overseas, we learn something new.
Tell me.
So this current season, you're having a terrific year. You know, I gotta give you your props for that because, like, you know, you're averaging. I got your stats right here. Averaging almost 22 points, 6 boards, and you're averaging 4 assists and 2.5 steals. Like, those are phenomenal numbers. Like, you know, like, so I gotta ask you, like, what seemed to click at this team? Like, how has this culture been for you?
Man, honestly, I would say, like, I just was given an opportunity. You know, I was given an opportunity to be the guy and rock out and just play my game and explore different parts of my game that, you know, I wanted to get better at. And I feel like I've been able to do that here, and it's been a great place to flourish and get back to playing the way I was playing before I entered the big business of college basketball. Like in high school, like this is how I played. It was just ball in my hands, being able to make plays, being able to score, being able to do, you know, a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I was going to ask.
For sure. So that's kind of, I would attribute it to just the situation, and that's all like overseas basketball. Like basketball period is like there's so many great players in the world. There's so many, like there's players overseas right now that's better than some people in the NBA.
Right.
But it's all situational. Like if you went to a college that let you rock out, you get to show that you can do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
But you might have gone to a college that, you know, you stacked, or it's a crazy point guard at your college, so now he got the ball the whole time, so you play off him.
Right.
Versus like, oh, you go somewhere without a crazy point guard, now you got the ball a little more, so you can pass. Now they like, oh, we can pass, well, we can plug and play in here. So it's all like, it's all about the situation you get into and the fit you have for each team across the world. Like it's a whole big web when it comes to basketball. But I would just say my success this year is one, attributed to hard work, two, the situation that I put in. You know, my coach trusted me with that responsibility. So, you know, it's been great. It's been a ride, and I'm glad that I'm able to show some people a little bit of what I can do.
Yeah, for sure. And so, like, what are some lessons or like that you've learned so far being overseas, or like, I guess some interesting things that you'll normally never see in the United States? Like, what are some things that you've encountered?
I would say that as Americans, I feel like we're not as, like, the world doesn't revolve around us like we think. You know, like when you're in America, you live in America your whole life, it's kind of like you don't necessarily see outside of America, which is dope because, you know, it's the greatest country in the world. But like, there's a huge world out there that we're not privy to. But then when you get overseas and start living in other places, it's like you start to realize how like small you are as a person. It's like, yo, I thought I was like the man, like just in my own little bubble. But then you get in the world and you're like, yo, this person, when you speak English, don't know me from a can of paint. I might as well just be
It's
crazy. Like, you got your own life on the other side of the world, got no idea what Charlotte is, what Raleigh is, what Rocky Mount is, anywhere in North Carolina. You have no idea what that even is.
Right.
And it's just crazy, mind blowing to think about. Like, there's so many people living the same experience on another side of the world. A similar human experience, but it's totally different from yours.
Yeah.
Deal with what you got going on. Like that's probably the craziest realization for me. Like, there's so many things, like just the way they move, the way people in Europe, the way different countries, your taste for like I don't know the word is, like, you know how you go to the South and everybody's like, oh, hey, super generous, but you might go to the North and people just walk by you like, it's like that in certain countries in Europe. Like, you might go to Italy and everybody's, oh, ciao, or you might go to somewhere else and maybe they're more cold. But then you get to learn the history. And it's like when I first got to Poland, for example, I thought people was bugging me. And I'm like, why these people bugging me? Like, I don't understand. And it wasn't because I'm from the South, so what's up to everybody? And they just bugging me. I'm like, yo, what's good with these people? Like, this is crazy. But then come to find out, my coach told me, like, you gotta think, Poland is bordering Germany.
Right.
During the Holocaust. Guess where Germany came to invade? Poland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Poland got concentration camps, you know what I'm saying, from the Holocaust still, like as museums. So those people, that's 2 generations ago. So imagine your grandparents going through the Holocaust.
Right. Yeah.
Now they passed that mental state down to the parents and then the kid. So like, you're not really welcoming to outside people because the outsiders that can't put you in concentration camp.
Right.
So you're a little colder as a people, and you learn that history, and you're able to like understand the world different. That's the dopest part about playing overseas. I'm not gonna lie. The basketball is cool, but the learning and seeing the history in real time is the dope.
Wow. That's
wicked.
Yeah, that is wicked because I haven't, of course, been outside the country. I've been to other states and seeing, different cultures, but like it's still the same. Culture,
being in the U.S.
Yeah, I appreciate you for sharing that because that's something that people don't know who ain't never been outside the country. They never experienced those things. So that's dope for real. And so, when you had a good year, and you suffered a major setback, how are you able to, I know it's a mentally tough time, but what are some ways you boost your self-love, and what is your mental health status right now?
Honestly, I would say my mental health status is as good as it can be for somebody who just suffered a season-ending injury.
Yeah.
It's still moments where I'm like, fuck, what was me? I'm mad about the situation and how it happened. And you go back and play it in your mind, like, dang, I should have did something else.
Right.
Or I should have did a different move. Or I should have, maybe I could have changed it. But with that being said, that's part of being human. You're gonna think those thoughts. But it's the things you think in response to those thoughts that's gonna determine how far you can go and how positive you can be.
For sure.
You're gonna think the negative. People try to eliminate all the negative. It's not gonna happen. You're gonna think the negative, but you gotta respond to the negative with 5 positives.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk yourself out of the negative thought, and that's gonna, determine where your self-love can line up. And then I feel like also keeping perspective on everything. It's so I didn't play last year for worse news than this. You know what I'm saying? My mom was sick.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so I played in Poland my rookie year. My second year, I was going back to the same team, but the same day I was about to sign, my mom gets diagnosed with cancer. Colon cancer, stage 4, grim prognosis, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna go overseas. I gotta stay here, take care of my mom.
Definitely.
So that was the worst news I had gotten to that point in life, almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other than my grandparents passing away, but that's my mom, that's my heart. And you hear something like that, it's it's happening to you.
Okay.
So now I got my career's in limbo, on hold. COVID's going on, and I'm dealing with this, right? So that mental toll, to be able to get through that, it's the ACL is you know what I'm saying? It's kind of
small in comparison.
You know what I'm saying? Get surgery, rehab, you back 6 to 9 months, cool, hooping again.
Right.
It ain't nobody telling you gotta fight for your life.
Right.
So I use that type of stuff as perspective. Even when I first went to get my MRI for my ACL, I'm limping in there and I'm complaining about the crutches. I'm like, yo, these hurt. My underarms, yo, I'm tired. This is a workout. I crutch past this little boy, 5 years old. I don't know what's wrong with his legs, but they were kind of deformed. So he's walking kind of with a little limp. He's 5, you know what I'm saying? He ain't never had a chance to go run up and down the court, dribble a basketball, none of that. He's not gonna get the chance to because he can't even walk properly, let alone run and jump and do all these things. So like, I'm extremely blessed in that regard. So that type of stuff gives me perspective on life. It makes me like not feel so bad about myself. Like things like this happen every day.
Absolutely.
Shoot, countries over in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And they war. Nobody, men 18 to 60 can't leave the country. They gotta go fight. You know? So like, I'm from America. I'm not living with that reality that somebody gonna come and invade and I got to fight for my family's life and freedom.
Right.
Like, so that all those type of things is what give me perspective on life and how to maintain positivity through like what you feel like is happening to you. You got to kind of take yourself out of it and look at it from a different viewpoint.
Definitely. I want to first like send a prayer and, you know, send some good energy to your mom. Has she been recovering well?
Yeah, for sure. She's a fighter, just like me. So, you know, I had that from her. You know,
that's what you like to hear.
Yeah, definitely want to commend you because your perspective is everything. You know, we get caught up in life, you know, complaining about little things and, you know, little Johnny down the street, you know what I'm saying? Like you were saying, he can't even hardly walk, you know what I'm saying? We over here complaining like, oh man, I'm tired of taking these steps. But you know what I'm saying? Like little things like that, you know, we got to replace those thoughts with positive thoughts and you know, and limit the complaining because we're here for a reason. We have a purpose for being here and, you know, you got to take the good with the bad. That's what you got to. And I want to get into like what you're doing with Speak Victory, you know, I definitely love what you're doing with Speak Victory. And
amazing page, by the way. Like your Instagram looks great.
That's So what made you to start in that?
I was in Poland, and you know that was a tough time. But I've always been a writer. You know, I've always written. I've always done video stuff and film and like narrated over videos and stuff like that. So when I was in Poland, I started a journal, right? And I was just journaling every day, you know, writing down gratitude, thoughts, you know, whatever. And then I just had a feeling like I'm reading over the page and I'm like, dang, this could help somebody, you know?
Yeah.
Reading this, seeing what I'm going through, it'll inspire somebody else. Like these are things that helping me. So why wouldn't it help somebody else? So I kind of came with the concept and I kind of titled the journal Speak Victory.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that was the title of the journal. And I said, let me make a IG page, let me make a Twitter page and just kind of publish some of the stuff that I had been writing. And then over time, it's just grown into what it is now, where I've been able to make video and the words that I'm writing and the things that inspire me that I see, and I kind of curate them in a way that I hope can inspire somebody else and see how far we can take it. And hopefully it evolves into something else down the line, you know, where, you know, it becomes something even more substantial, you know. So right now I'm just growing, you know, every day, just kind of putting one foot in front of the other. And then in 5 years, 10 years, we'll look up and be somewhere totally different. So.
Right. That's like, I definitely been following since day one, and you know, it's amazing, you know what I'm saying, just seeing like what it come to today, like what it has came to, because I know you posted one day that somebody, I forgot who used your sound, but it was like a major person used your sound for like a reel. Yeah. That one.
I want to say it was the guy from the Timberwolves,
Anthony Evans?
Nah, Joshua Koye. He played at Georgia Tech.
Oh,
yeah.
I played him at Georgia Tech. He's at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that's dope.
There's some other, it's a couple influencers that, like IG influencers and fitness people that have used like the audio. But I think that's the dopest part. It's like, dang, like you actually like heard my words and was inspired to do something for real. Like even on TikTok, like one of the videos I posted, it was like 100 or I don't know 100, but maybe like 50 people used the sound and made their own video to it. I'm like, oh, that's dope.
That's dope.
That's the whole purpose.
Right.
Inspires.
Yeah, that's definitely inspirational, man. And I know you're touching more people than like they'll give you credit for it. Because that's like it's touching stories, but you're also talking about perseverance and how you have to work hard, and you have to not only work hard, you gotta match it with the faith, you know. Because I always say like, can't just have all faith and no work. You can't just have all work and no faith. It gotta be matched.
Gotta be balanced.
So definitely salute you for
everybody likes to like kind of talk down on the like quote culture, and people just be posting quotes and don't do nothing, or y'all just be talking and don't. But like realistically, if you don't talk to yourself in a certain type of way, like you'll never be able to build your mind up to feel a certain type of way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Everything you hear is negative, you're gonna start feeling negative, like you ingesting negativity.
Right.
It's just like somebody who eats bad, like it's gonna turn out bad. Like your body ain't just what you eat, it's what you listen to, it's what you talk, what you say, what you think. Like, so you gotta train the way you talk to yourself, and that will in turn, like your work will reflect that. Like if you tell yourself, you cannot stop me, and then you go out and do that and just keep going, like eventually those are gonna mirror. Like, why do you think Floyd Mayweather talk the way he does? Muhammad Ali talked the way he did. Mike Tyson, like all the great boxers, great fighters, they all speak a certain way. Yeah. Why? Because that talk turns into, and that's it turns into this. And now they champions because they talk, they work it, and they, so they download this whole championship mentality. But it all started on them just, I said I was the greatest before I ever knew I was. Yeah. Just because I want to do that every day. I want to hear I'm the greatest, and eventually I'm gonna start. If I start working like it, and I keep saying it, I'm gonna start believing.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's gonna come into light.
Yeah.
You have no choice. That's great, man. I want everybody to check out Speak Victory. We're gonna put it somewhere over here, somewhere. but yeah. So I want to get into my favorite part of the podcast. It's called the Fast Five. So
hey, let's get it.
Yes, sir. So for everybody, you have 1 minute to answer all 5 questions, and I know you used to
action. Let's go.
Yeah, you used to the shot clock, so I want to see if you can beat the shot clock. Must beat it. All right.
I'm under pressure.
I'm ready with the time. Just
sir.
It's on y'all.
All right. If you could hold on to one memory from your life forever, what would it be?
Ooh, one?
Yeah, one.
My whole life?
Yeah.
Oh my God. See my brother play his first NFL game.
Fast.
What motivates you to keep going?
Because I feel like me keeping going inspires other people to keep going in their life.
For sure. Who are your top 5 hoopers of all time?
Oh my God. Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
LeBron James. Kareem.
Okay.
And Steph.
For sure. And what is your definition of greatness?
My definition of greatness is being able to get a little better each day.
For sure. What is one question you wish we could ask you, and how would you answer it?
One question I wish you asked me?
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel like y'all asked me all the good stuff. This is a tough question.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
You got 5 seconds.
Oh man. Questions? I'm gonna need a timeout. I need a timeout. Questions?
This must be a TV timeout.
It's a media joint. Like they gotta go to the money. For real. Because I really don't know. I feel like y'all ask me everything.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like we covered everything for real.
For sure.
That's the first.
That's the first. I'm happy that we covered everything. And so I'm gonna ask you a bonus question.
Okay.
So what is your biggest lesson you learned from sports?
So many. But the biggest lesson I learned from sports is that you never really lose if you don't quit.
Facts. Absolutely. That's in life, period.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Life, period. So I want to say, we touched on a lot of great points, and I got to ask you, so what's next for you?
I don't know. Next surgery on this ACL, and then we'll go from there. So I'm kind of just in limbo, basketball-wise, because of the injuries. So we kind of just taking that day by day. But off the court stuff, just building Speak Victory, continuing to probably document this ACL recovery journey, and hopefully some good content comes out of that. And try to get the podcast off the ground, Speak Victory podcast, and do some things with that. So just building up on the media side, on the YouTube set, on the YouTube front, keep building the TikTok, Instagram, all that, and just trying to reach as many people as possible and inspire as many people as possible. So that's pretty much next on the Speak Victory off the court front.
Sure. I want to, wish you a speedy recovery, and
sure.
I hope you return even better than what you was before. Yeah. So like KD.
For sure.
And yes, sir. And where can the viewers find you at home?
You said what?
I said, where can the viewers find you at home on social media?
On social media, my Instagram is at Torin Dorn 2, TORIN, 2, and then everywhere else is Speak Victory at Speak Victory. Even Instagram at Speak Victory 2, TikTok at Speak Victory.
Gotcha.
For sure. And I want to remind everybody at home, it's all love, and we're out. Sir.
Grateful that you faithful.